April long, we have been tracking likes between the NFC North channels right here on the Packers Report, and we are in a close second, just behind Bears now, just ahead of Vikings now. If we get 300 likes on this video, we'll be clear in first place. If you haven't yet, go ahead, hit that thumbs button so we can prove the Packers really do run the NFC North. Alrighty, is there a big trade coming? That's what we're talking about on today's episode, because yet again, the Green Bay Packers have been linked to trading for the Bengals edge Trey Hendrickson. This time it's a Bleacher Report article coming from Kristopher Knox. Here's what he had to say. Green Bay could use some additional help on the edge too. While their defense recorded 45 sacks in 2024, Rashan Gary was the only defender to log more than 5. Enagbare was second among Packers edge defenders with just 4.5 sacks. Extending Hendrickson would be an option as Green Bay still has $32.5 million in cap space available. So it seems like it makes all the sense in the world. Let's catch you up on everything going on with Trey Hendrickson because it has been a wild last month and a half for him and the Cincinnati Bengals. So it came out early in March 6th, that Cincinnati was giving him permission to seek a trade, which is very rare. And then just 11 days after that, it came out that Cincinnati is working to retain Trey Hendrickson and extend him in that contract. And then just 2 weeks after that, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap, the contract talks stall. But here's the real juicy part. Because Katie Blackburn, the EVP of Cincinnati, External Vice President, actually said this, and it got out there. Trey Hendrickson saw it. She said, I think some of it is on him to be happy at some point when talking about contract numbers. We're happy to have him, and so maybe we'll find a way to get something to work. Could you imagine having your external vice president in the middle of a contract negotiation say that about their own player? Maybe we'll get something to work, especially at a player who's coming off a season with 17.5 sacks. Well, of course, eventually, Trey Hendrickson saw what Katie Blackburn had to say, and here's how he responded. This was on the Pat McAfee show. The one thing I was hoping was an April Fool's joke was that article. Called my agent, found out that it was not. That was a little disappointing because communication has been poor over the last couple of months. That is something I hold in high regard. They had not communicated with my agent directly. It's been something that has been a little frustrating. But again, this is the business of it, and it is really tough business when you are the Cincinnati Bengals. It's really poor business, in my opinion, when you are the Cincinnati Bengals. They made some massive extensions in this offseason with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. One of those I thought they should have extended. Chase. One I thought they shouldn't have. T. Higgins. And now they're suffering for it because they have one of the best edge rushers in football on the worst defense in football, and they can't even really bring him back because they've handcuffed themselves too much with their contracts. So be honest with me. We're going to break down a trade in just a little bit, but would you trade for Trey Hendrickson? If that's so, say yes. Comment section down below. Let me know. But if you wouldn't, go ahead and give me a no and tell me why. Personally, I would do it in a heartbeat, okay? I think Trey Hendrickson is the most underrated player in the National Football League. I think if he played on a different team, wore a different uniform, and just played a little bit of a different style of football, he would be regarded as the best edge rusher in the game. But he's not, and yet he's put up back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons. He's combined 61 QB hits in the last 2 years. Combined almost 90 tackles, 35 sacks. I mean, he's been absolutely unreal. So, what this video is all over is because Bleacher Report talked about Green Bay and Trey Hendrickson, and they actually suggested a wild trade, swapping Jair Alexander with Trey Hendrickson. Here's their trade idea. Packers receive Trey, Bengals receive Jair. Everybody wipes their hands of either and goes on about their business. Coming up, I break down this wild trade because that would be absolutely insane. We all know it. You know it. I know it. But before I do that, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button and join me right here on the Packers Report. We give you daily videos. We've been doing it all off season long, and we're going to continue to do it. I know after the NFL draft, a lot of people take some time off. They take a step back. We do not right here on the Packers Report. We still give you daily content every single day all the way up until the season. Then we'll ramp it up even more. So if you haven't yet, join us right now by hitting that sub button. So there is that crazy trade idea again. Trey Hendrickson for Jair Alexander, just straight up. My initial thoughts is, wow, this thing is wild. And when I look at that, I kind of doubt that it would be able to be just that. because of the injury history that Jair Alexander has had, okay? And just because of the cost of him as well. They all go hand in hand together. So my thought is you'd probably have to throw in a third or fifth rounder. You'd probably have to throw in an extra draft pick. I would assume it's somewhere around a fifth because you're still giving them a really good player. You're still giving them a 2-time Pro Bowl player. You're still giving them a guy who, when he's healthy, though he hasn't been recently, but when he is healthy, he's really, really great and has really, really done great things for the National Football League and for Green Bay. But even then, if it's Jair and a fifth, I would still make that trade, man. I look at this roster, I look at this team, and edge rusher is the biggest question mark, biggest need, no matter what. You could always use more edge rushers. You could always use a star edge rusher, and that's what this team doesn't have, okay? Brian Gutekunst was asked about trading Jair Alexander just a little bit ago, and he said, we invested a lot in Jair. And we want to make sure that if he's not going to be on our football team helping us win games, that we get something back for that investment. And Trey Hendrickson would be that something back. He'd be that something back and then some, even if you had to tack on a fifth rounder for it, okay? Trey Hendrickson, like I've been talking about through this entire segment, would be a game changer for this team. The interesting thing about this trade with Jair Alexander, we've been keeping you up with Jair Alexander news, rumors, everything throughout the entirety of this offseason. Brian Gutekunst said it actually could be a possibility, absolutely, when talking about Alexander remaining a Packer in 2025. So that has fluctuated over the last couple of months. At one point, it seemed that it was inevitable. It was going to be any day. And as of right now, it kind of seems that there's a coin flip's chance he's still with Green Bay. But still, if I got this offer, okay, Trey Hendrickson, you get him. All you have to do is give up Jair and a fifth-round pick. I'm doing it in no time. But what would you guys do? Would you accept this trade? Go ahead, give me an A for accept in the comment section down below. And if you wouldn't, go ahead and give me a D decline. Let me know your answer right now. I'll just be honest, guys, this would be wild if it happens. And because of that, I don't think it would happen. You rarely see just player for player, especially two guys that are considered as good as both of those guys are. Now, I do realize, and I am smart enough and, observant enough to realize that Green Bay needs an edge. Cincinnati needs a cornerback, right? So it's not impossible because both of those are really big needs. But I will say this, be shocked if it happens, okay? Trey Hendrickson for Jair, it just seems a little bit too good to be true because, the whole reason they're not keeping Trey Hendrickson, or most likely not keeping Trey Hendrickson, is because they don't want to pay him. Here's his contract projection. It'd be about $30 million, $90 million a year. Now, if you do trade for him, I think Green Bay should pay that, and I think Green Bay can pay that. And if you look how it would stack up against all the other contracts in the National Football League, it'd put him at fifth, which I think is a perfect spot for him, especially at the age of 30. He's not getting Myles Garrett money at 40, but he's also getting a nice little pay bump and getting into that top 5, which right now he's not at. Rashan Gary is getting paid more than him, and he had 4 times almost Rashan Gary sacks. Maybe I'm thinking of Kingsley Enagbare. I can't really remember right now. All I know is that he would have been the sack leader on this team by more than double. So if you can get Trey Hendrickson, even if it's not for Jair Alexander just straight up, which would be wild if it was, I think Green Bay should do it no matter what, okay? So take a guess for me in the comment section. What's the % chance that Green Bay trades for Hendrickson? Because this is now the second article that we've talked about this being a possibility, okay? It's not just us talking about it. Everybody else is as well. You let me know in the comment section down below. Scale it 1 to 100. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, for hanging out with me right here on the Packers Report. We've talked a lot of Trey Hendrickson. We're going to continue to keep you updated on that front. Everything that happens with Jair Alexander will be covered right here on this channel as well. And, of course, we got the NFL draft coming up in just 9 days. Less than 10 days away. I cannot be more excited. We'll have you covered right here. Draft rumors, draft news, anything that you could need to be updated on the Green Bay Packers. You found it right here at the Packers Report. All you got to do, lock us in, make sure you don't go anywhere. Hit that big red sub button.